The most successful people are those who take significant risks, which often lead to spectacular failures. Some remained heroes in the shadows, while others were placed on pedestals. Many have gone from pauper to king. And they all have one thing in common: they never gave up. These stories of successful people will undoubtedly inspire you on your way through your career and life. We hope you will not be in a situation where you have to apply some of their moves, but will fight for your success by striving through successful studies and building a career. Nevertheless, these stories leave few people indifferent and put a wind at the back of those who run out of courage. Jim Carrey, at the age of 15, he worked as a janitor to support the family. He witnessed his family's financial ruin but decided to be more than just a bystander. Jim Carrey had to mature very young, which may have influenced his characteristic acting style. He spoke of the traumatic days when his father, who worked as a musician, lost his job and its impact on his family. Carrey's family went from the lower middle class to the lowest strata of society and were forced to live in a van. He left school at 15 and started working as a janitor to support his family. That period was very tiring for him and was taking its toll. He was constantly angry with everyone. Jim's cure was a baseball bat, which he used to smash everything in his path. All the while, Jim stayed true to his love of comedy. But he lived through absolute hell when his comedy club debut was a complete debacle. His debut performance, which his father helped him prepare, was a failure. However, he remained steadfast. And when his family's financial situation stabilized, he returned to the stage with an excellent performance. Since then, millions of people worldwide have been dying of laughter at his jokes and movie roles. Oprah Winfrey reached the top even though rocks had been thrown at her from above. I think Oprah Winfrey's story is one of the most impressive contemporary, pauper to king stories of all time. You probably know that Oprah is the richest African American woman of the 21st century, with a net worth of over $3 billion. In addition, she is considered one of the most influential women in the world. Her incredible success is all the more impressive, considering her difficult upbringing. As the daughter of an unwed teenage mother who worked as a housekeeper, Oprah grew up in extreme poverty. Her family was so poor that, as a child, she was teased at school for wearing a dress made of potato sacks. She was also a victim of sexual abuse by family members. She discussed this incident with TV viewers during a special episode of her show. However, the first significant event was her appearance on a local radio station dedicated to a black audience. Impressed by her speaking style and passion, the owners helped her reach influential radio stations, which eventually resulted in her appearing on television. Howard Schultz sold his blood, and today the whole world knows about Starbucks. He tasted the bitter taste of poverty at an early age. When he was 7 years old, his father broke his ankle while working as a truck driver. At the time, his father had no health insurance or workers' compensation, and the family had no income. At the age of 12, Howard got his first job. He sold newspapers and worked in a local coffee shop. When he turned 16, he got a job in a fur shop, where he had to stretch leather. This exhausting job made him stronger and confirmed his desire to succeed in the future. By working hard, he gained a lot of physical strength, which is why he excelled in sports and received a sports scholarship at the university. However, he decided that he did not want to play football, and instead of a scholarship, he took out a student loan and worked various jobs, even selling his blood. He eventually graduated in the field of communications in 1975. The job that will lead him in the right direction is coffee of sale machines. Although he worked his way up to the manager position, when a huge order arrived from a small bar, it piqued his interest. He met the owners of the then Starbucks and was delighted with their dedication. he decided to quit his job as a manager and asked them to be part of the Starbucks team. During a visit to Italy, he was delighted with the culture of drinking coffee and wanted to bring that model to America. The owners could have been more enthusiastic about his idea, and eventually, he left Starbucks and opened his own place. The business flourished, and in time he was able to buy the Starbucks that was for sale. Today, Starbucks is worth $85 billion. J.K. Rowling got the idea for a book while waiting for a train. Rowling came up with the idea for the Harry Potter novel at 25, one evening when she waited for a delayed train for even 4 hours. She started writing the first book that night, but it took her years to finish it. While working as a secretary, Rowling was fired for daydreaming about a novel. In the years leading up to the book's launch, she married, had a daughter, divorced, and was diagnosed with clinical depression before finally finishing the book in 1995. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone was finally published in 1997 after being rejected by 12 publishing houses. Today, Rowling is just a millionaire because she lost her billionaire status due to many generous donations. How about that? Steve Jobs collected plastic bottles for money. One cannot talk about incredible successes without mentioning Steve Jobs. He dropped out of college because his family could not bear the financial burden of his education. However, he continued to attend classes unofficially, living off free meals from the local Hare Krishna temple and collecting plastic bottles. Jobs credited his calligraphy course as the inspiration for the revolutionary Mac fonts. Although Jobs stands out in the foreground, he is not the only one responsible for what Apple is today, the second most valuable brand today. Many people do not know who Steve Wozniak is, the man behind the technology of the first Apple computers, as well as several other people who, together with Steve Jobs, assembled the first computers in the garage. Whatever the story's background, Jobs will be remembered as one of the most influential people of the 21st century. Jack Ma is a man of failures that brought him to billions. Jack Ma is the founder of the e-commerce platform Alibaba, which recently appeared on the financial market with a valuation of about $150 billion. Alibaba is worth more than Facebook and does more business than Amazon and eBay combined. Jack himself is worth $25 billion. He comes from a lower-class family. As a boy, he always wanted to learn English. He spent his days guiding English tourists in a nearby park, where he met a girl who nicknamed him Jack because she couldn't pronounce his name. During his education, he failed 2 times in the entrance exam for elementary education, 3 times the entrance exam for high school, and 3 times in college, to eventually graduate in English. After his studies, he was rejected for more than 30 positions he applied for. When KFC opened, 23 employees were wanted, and 24 were used, only he was not hired. Even as an entrepreneur, he could have been more successful initially. He failed 2 ventures. Until he visited America and got acquainted with computers and the possibilities of the internet for the first time. When he returned to China, he convinced his friends to invest and found Alibaba. He founded a company for internet trade at the age of 31 without any knowledge of programming and sales. Unbelievable. Rade Yoksimovich became a millionaire after the installation of heating. Let there be no inspiring stories of people who have experienced world success in our country. We must mention Cadet. Rade did not install heating, but the story begins when, at 16, he attended his father's conversation with the man who was supposed to introduce gas to their apartment. Rade then tried to find out more about the contractor's company on the internet but was unsuccessful. He asked the man if he had a website, and he told him that he did not, but that he understood the importance of the internet and would like to develop it. Then he asked Rade if he understood that and if he could make him a website, which Rade accepted, even though he knew absolutely nothing about web design or programming at that moment. In the meantime, he taught himself how to create a website and made his first deal. Later, he was active on forums where he helped people with various problems. His dedication and knowledge did not go unnoticed, and after a while, he got a couple of jobs from people on the forum and later a job. All this while he was still in high school. At 19, he quit his career at the company and decided to start his own business, which he later sold for a six-figure sum. Since then, he has created several other companies and continues to educate young people through lectures and online articles on various websites. What is the recipe for success? From the stories of these people, the main trait that stands out is persistence. Persistence and courage to continue forward, regardless of the circumstances in which they find themselves. That's the mark of true champions, not just passion or talent, but the ability to get back up after a fall and strive for the top. What do you think about that?